my fellow classmates and professor. Today I will be discussing my knowledge on classification. By the end of the lesson, my classmates should be able to define biological species and the names of species in scientific form. What are the levels of classification? One of the terms provided was genus, a more general level of classification, and species was a more level of classification. Another term would be similar genera are clustered into the same family and are clustered into the same class. And related classes are grouped together in the same phylum, which leads to the highest level of classification, the kingdom. Homo erectus. What is Homo erectus? That means upright man. When a genus is provided, it is always capitalized. A species name is always lowercase. When it is both, it's both italicized. In biology, biological species concept is often used to address the issue. Two organisms are formed from the same species if they can produce viable offspring. Two organisms are formed different species if they cannot produce viable offspring. A prime example would be if a horse has 64 chromosomes, when a female horse and a male donkey mate, each contributes half of their genetic information. So the offspring receives 32 chromosomes and 31 donkey chromosomes. This chromosome combination can produce a living offspring, the mule. Analogies. Traits that are similar across organisms due to similar adaptations. The homoplasy, which is another term, evolutionary development of similar traits in related organisms. Ancestral traits are traits that are inherited by two organisms that form a relatively distant common ancestor. There are two types of derived traits. Shared derived traits are traits that are modified traits shared by two different groups of organisms. Unique derived traits are modified traits unique to one group. For example, humans have unusual pelvis that are round and bowl-shaped. Anthropologists may examine DNA or amino acid sequence to look for similarities and differences between organisms. Taxonomy forms the basis for systematics, the study of the relationships between organisms. The first and longest running approach to classification is called evolutionary systematics. The second and more recent approach to classification is called cladistics, evolutionary systematics. The diagram used to represent cladistics classification is called cladogram, provided in our textbook. This approach emphasizes derived traits and de-emphasizes ancestral traits. Another type of diagram that can be used to reflect evolutionary relationships is the phylogram. I'm probably saying this wrong. Phylogram is a diagram used to represent evolutionary relationships that also accounts for the amount of change and usually length of timing separating organisms. So, class, that is it. That is
it for me. That was Lab 9, Classification.